Now Born to Run is stuck in my head.
Yeah, it's been stuck in my head since I heard that a week ago. So
Okay, fair enough.
I don't really listen to that much Bruce. So whenever I do listen to Bruce, and also like
It's a great song.
It
Born to
is.
Run is a truly excellent song. I just don't like his voice.
I know. I think he's like such an interesting songwriter though, because I'm sure we'll eventually do him on the podcast,
right.
but he's a very interesting songwriter because his lyrics in everything he does feels like he's talking directly to a person. Like it's like dialogue-y. It's like all of Born to Run is like
that's
talking to someone.
Yeah.
And like same
like
thing with I'm on Fire,
person.
which is the other song that's been stuck in my head. I didn't even listen to it. I listened to a band cover Born to Run, and Born to Run and I'm on Fire are both stuck in my head.
Of course.
Like, okay. And then there was no hope of any of the music we listened to today breaking that, like getting them out of my mind.
I'm so excited for what you're gonna sing to start the episode.
What do you mean?
I mean, you could just do podcast.
I don't think I don't know, man.
That's as far as I can get.
I don't even know if I have anything. I might just not do it. We'll see. Fine. I also don't know if I can talk louder than I'm talking.
You don't have to.
I might just be cooked all the way through today.
I'm all right.
I'm a well done steak today. Your favorite thing?
Yeah, I love it.
Oh man! All right. I did go live. Sweet. All right.
Yeah.
Love that for us.
You're ready.
I have this up. All right. I am ready.
Excellent. 3, 2, 1, go.
Roar. Grr. Give me and let me hibernate for the winter. Grr.
And now do the band that you covered. That was a very good impression of mine.
Wait. What?
I'm fucking with you.
Don't listen. I will here's what would happen. If you told me that now, I would still just give my research for what I did for my band.
And that's fine. And it would be great if they overlapped, if they were exactly the same, that would be ideal, really.
I was going to do an impression of your zoo animal band, but what did they do? I can't just extend my neck by.
Yeah, I was going to say you could take the mic and kind of like.
Yeah.
Have a neck battle with it the way giraffes do.
Although what if I just like stuck my tongue out and it was like a foot long and like dark purple, because a giraffe's tongue is very dark and purple.
Which I would expect to start seeing you eating the leaves off of trees at that point.
Hey, honestly,
if you've got it, you flaunt it.
I'm not going to say I wouldn't want to be 20 feet taller, but I wouldn't want it to be all neck. Like,
I mean, beggars can't be choosers. Also,
that's true. You know what? I'd rather just be my height then.
I mean,
I'm gonna go ahead and just not accept this.
That's fine.
This monkey's paw deal. You're double in height, but it's all neck.
Monkeys. I do love a good monkey.
All right, you know what? You know what we should do? Welcome in, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Totem Talks. This is season 8. This is episode 4. And it is a doozy because we went to the zoo.
Yes,
we went to the zoo. We got to hang out at the zoo together. Musically, that is.
That's right. Yes.
Although I guess we could just go to the zoo. I mean, there's a pretty famous zoo right in the city that we live near.
Yeah. That's true. I've been there.
I've been there too. Did you know that, like, I'm sure you went when you were a kid. Did you have a zoo key?
No.
Oh, dude. So the zoo key, there was these little, like, colored plastic keys. They were green, red, blue, all,
Okay.
whatever.
Sure.
And you could go up to an exhibit. This is the Philadelphia Zoo for anybody.
Right.
Very niche if you are not. Yeah.
Any zoo at any time, just go right ahead and ask for one.
But, you would, like, go up to the exhibit, and there'd be a spot where you could insert the zoo key and turn it, and it would just play, like, an audio description of the animal and, like, their habitat.
Oh, so it wouldn't let them out
I don't
or
think
anything,
so. Uh,
or let
I'm
you
sure
in.
there are zoo keys that could do that, but probably not ones that customers like, can
I think they're
purchase.
the kind that you should definitely start giving to
Although
kids.
I did see, I don't remember if it was the Philadelphia Zoo, but I think it was, that they're doing this thing where the cat exhibits are gonna span
Mhm.
like, gonna be on either side of a walkway, and there's gonna be, like, an overground tunnel
Oh, yeah, they've had
that
that.
the tigers
They've
can
had
walk,
that
like,
to take
tigers and lions can just walk
Yeah.
over?
Oh,
That's crazy.
yeah.
I haven't been there since that happened.
Okay.
That's
Yep.
crazy. But
That's
my point was the zoo keys are now, like, just a card. They're gone, apparently, and that.
I guess you just download an
Yeah, but
app
that
now,
sucks because
probably.
the zoo key was awesome, and you got to keep it, and it was on a little zebra lanyard. Like,
Sure.
kids these days, man, they
Sure.
don't get stuff like that. They just get apps and shit.
No, hate it.
I've never felt older
I won't
than
download
saying
it.
that sentence, though.
Yeah. Yeah, you're starting to sound like me.
Well, yeah, but, you know what? I got a ways to go before I'm 90.
Those those 17 days are closing quickly.
Listen, I've never felt older than I have this week, so I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Either way,
Well,
you know what we're here to talk about? It's not the Philadelphia Zoo, it's music.
no,
And we covered 2 bands. We're Totem
that's right.
Talks, a music podcast where we are deciphering, discerning, decoding, decrypting, all of the sounds.
Yeah,
And we're looking
right.
for the greatest musical act of all time. That is our end goal.
It is.
So far, we found a lot of contenders, and we found a lot of absolutely not contenders in any way, shape, or
That's
form.
true.
And we found a
That's
couple
true.
that are in the middle.
A lot of people
A
end up in the
lot of
middle
people
somewhere.
end up in the middle. But Nick, who are we covering today?
Sure, we are kicking things off with the band Giraffes. Drafts! And we will be following that up with Grizzly Bear.
Perfect. Perfect. Now, Nick, very importantly,
Of course, yeah,
and
we're
this
ready.
won't sway our opinion of the music in the episode. Who would win in a fight? One grizzly bear, because it's grizzly bear,
I
or
know, and it
multiple
is
giraffes?
giraffes. I'm taking giraffes, I
Yeah,
think.
even if it's just the number of giraffes as members of the band, like one grizzly bear versus
Mhm.
4 giraffes.
2 people in the band, but 2
Oh,
giraffes.
2 giraffes? Oh, I flipped them. I flipped grizzly bear and
Yeah.
giraffes.
I think I
1
mean,
grizzly bear only
the
versus 2
sheer
giraffes.
size, a grizzly bear starts working on the leg of one giraffe and gets, like, a neck thrashing from the other one, gets a solid kick.
I think if it's but
I wouldn't wanna get behind a giraffe the same way I wouldn't wanna get behind a horse because I bet you those things kick and, knock you right
you're
on your ass.
probably right. I think if it's only 2 giraffes, though, I might go grizzly bear.
The grizzly bear has a shot. I'm not saying the grizzly bear doesn't have a shot, but I
'Cause
think just the sheer
grizzlies
size
are
of
like
the animal.
the big bear,
Yeah, you're right, you're
like, if it
right.
was like a black bear, I would say giraffe all day. One giraffe could beat a black
Oh,
bear.
well,
I
yeah, in
could beat
that
a
case.
black bear,
Yeah.
but, a grizzly?
Yeah, I mean, you make a good point. I think it's just the numbers because the grizzly bear is completely open to being attacked.
True.
It can't hold off both at the
Yeah.
same time. Also, I mean, do the animals know that they're in this
Yes,
scenario?
it's
Like,
not just like you
does
don't
one
just release
okay,
the
it's
grizzly
not
bear.
like the second draft just runs away. He's like, "I know that I've been paid to
Yeah,
get in
yeah,
the ring."
this is
And
where they
so
have
okay.
the cognizant ability to know
Yeah,
the
that's
fight.
important. That's an important part of this.
It's like that old, would you rather face, 100 duck-sized horses or 1 horse-sized duck?
Or one horse-sized duck. Yeah.
So, the answer is you always go the horses.
Yeah.
100 duck-sized horses is
Yeah.
just like a workout for my feet stomping on horses,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
a horse-sized duck will
I
kill
don't wanna
me,
get I don't wanna get
right?
pecked.
If it has the
besides that.
speed of its smaller counterpart and it hits with that, you're dead immediately. Your skull will crack in half.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I
All right,
agree.
good. Glad we're on the same page. Now, what about these bands?
Yeah, giraffes. Giraffes.
Yeah, let's
I will introduce them
please
because there's no Wikipedia page for you to
please
read a
do.
brief
Please
bio
do.
from. They are a band that was founded in Santa Cruz, California in 2004. They're a math rock band formed by Joseph Andrioli and Kenneth Topham, who met while going to college in New Hampshire, but they are from Massachusetts. So they're both from Massachusetts, but they didn't meet until they went to New Hampshire, and then they didn't form a band until they went to Santa Cruz.
Which is
And
a weird travel situation for them.
it is a weird travel
It
situation.
reminds me a little bit of us though, because we both went to the same high school but did not meet until college.
You're right. That's true.
And
That's
that's
very
all
true.
I have for that.
Massachusetts is even bigger than one high school, I've heard.
I mean, hold on.
So
Can you be sure of that though? Have you measured
no,
Massachusetts?
not in terms of people.
Okay, but have you measured our high school?
I'll have to do
All
it
right.
after.
So,
I'll get to
yeah,
yeah.
let's
I
not
could.
give the people these fake facts about Massachusetts
You're
versus
right.
our high school and the size comparison without doing the research.
You know, I feel like a total asshole.
As you should, honestly.
But I can tell you that we covered 3 of their albums. This is fun. I'm feeling like it. So their first record, is Super Bass, or Black Death Greatest Hits Volume 1. And that's from a year
2006.
I don't know off the top. Thank you. And then their most popular record, I will say, or their,
Don't. Oh,
most acclaimed record, it's tough to say, but it is More Skin with Milk Mouth.
which came out in 2007.
And then and then, if in 2007 you had Milk Mouth, by the time you get to their most recent album, you have Death
Yep,
Breath. So,
2022. If you had Milk
um,
Mouth all the way from 2007 to 2022, it
oh,
would certainly become Death Breath.
that does not sound good. Okay, so Super Bass. Um, this is math rock. So it's like very obvious right from the start. If you don't know what math rock is, you'll probably be very confused by a lot of these songs. Um, but I am actually not unfamiliar with the genre, and I have actually listened to this album before. So this was not my first rodeo with these giraffes. Um, and I think it's got some cool stuff. Like there's good arrangements, there's good riffs. The playing is really good. They're playing very difficult music. And you get like a lot of use of looping to get multiple guitar parts going at once because it's just a two-piece band, just guitar and drums. Um, and it can get a little heavy at times. The song "It's Easy" is like there's more. The titles are insanely long, so I've just abbreviated them all in my notes. Um, so they can get a little heavy. They've shown some range. Like I think it's a fine debut for the genre. I think it shows that they have a lot of talent, but it also feels um, not fully there yet.
Yeah. Okay, cool, cool,
So
cool. So here's the thing. First off, the titles instantly reminded me of a band called Chiodos.
okay, yeah.
Um in structure, because Chiodos, if you do not know, they love to have songs that are like really, really interestingly titled. Like the word best friend becomes redefined is the name of a Chiodos song.
Yeah.
So it just reminded me of that. In terms of the actual album, I have a very love-hate relationship with math rock a lot of the times because, like, when I'm listening to music for my own enjoyment, I'm more often than not, I'm looking for, like, things I can sing along to and enjoy, and then,
Sure.
like, lyrical storytelling, which the majority of math rock has neither of those things.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, for anybody who doesn't know what math rock is, like, it's literally a genre of music that is defined by diving into the mathematics of music. That's why it's called math rock. So it's typically like really complex structures, a lot of
Yeah.
atypical rhythms to create these like syncopated beats and things like that, dissonant sounds and like sound signatures to like create that whole atmosphere of complexity, which I'll tell you that they're doing well, especially for a duo. They're doing it well. So
Mhm.
I'm not going to,
Yeah, it's impressive
yeah,
musicianship.
it's just a genre of music that I am less enjoying of in my day to day. So this is an album that like I can
Sure.
respect the quality of. Still, I do agree with you that it does feel young and it feels like they're just kind of noodling a bit sometimes.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's kind of a mixed review for me, but considering I don't really like the genre, that's a pretty positive review
Sure.
overall.
Mhm.
There are really some interesting titles. So I'm just
The
gonna read a
titles
couple of
are
the
great.
titles. So here's the last song on the album. She looked up from examining the freckles on her arm and shouted, "Jesus, I'm fucking goddamn tired of all this makeup sex." And he just stared off. That's a title of a song.
Yeah, it sure is.
or I dreamed I had a little death, but I came for the big sleep,
Yep.
which is really clever because you have to know that in I think more than one language, but specifically in French,
French, yeah.
they call an
A
orgasm the
petite
little
mort.
death.
Yeah.
So that is definitely a play on that, which I thought was clever. So like
Mhm.
there's real thoughts put in Tom Hanks's semantics is. Like, and then she'd look down and saw miniature houses and miniature people, and inside the miniature people were miniature hearts pumping blood through miniature veins. Her mouth was watery and wet. Is the title of a song.
Watery and wet.
Like, truly, I had so much more enjoyment reading the
Yeah,
tracks
they are
than
great,
listening to the
great
album. And
titles.
it's not that I didn't enjoy the album.
Sure.
Now I'll take us into More Skin with Milkmouth, which is just a terrible title of an album. I'm sorry. I understand that it's like
Uh,
it's doing probably exactly what they wanted it to do,
yeah.
which is make you feel a little gross.
Yep.
So mission absolutely accomplished, guys, with that. But a couple things that are the same. So right off the bat, some funny titles.
Oh,
So
yeah.
they're less like incredibly long paragraph titles.
Except for one.
Yes, there's one. I am she, him, her, as you are she, him, her, as you are me, and we am I, and we are all together. Our collective consciousness is psychogenic fugue.
Mhm.
So a little nod to we are to I am the walrus to we are the
Yep.
walrus. We
And
are
then
all the walrus.
the last track, a quick one while she's away, is also a nod to a Who song.
Yeah.
So,
So those things stayed the same. Another thing that stayed the same is a lack of vocals and lyrics. So this is we should have mentioned the first album was completely instrumental. This album
correct.
also completely instrumental. So it is what it is. I think they definitely were a little stronger. It wasn't a huge level of like exponential growth. It has only been a year. So like the bones that were there were also improved upon. Uh Again, just not a genre of music that I'm gonna like go back and listen to just for fun. It's a fun experiment when I'm doing the podcast to like listen to things like this because I have to listen actively and kind of break down what's going on. But take that away and just have it be listening for my pleasure, and this will not make the cut.
Yeah, that's about as good of a review as I could have expected from you, I think. And I like this album a lot. This is also not the first time that I've listened to it. Um, and I think it does everything that was starting to happen in the first album better. I think this is pretty much strong from beginning to end. I really, really like the opening track, which is called When the Catholic Girls Go Camping, the Nicotine Vampires Rule Supreme. Also a great name.
It is.
Um, but that's definitely up there as an argument for my favorite tune from them. But I think overall, what you get is like a lot more tension and release on this record, where maybe they have a lot of these complex parts where the time signatures are changing every other measure, and then they're mixed with like more simple breakdowns that'll just sit in 4 or 6/8 for a while, and like pick up a groove. So they what they didn't have as much on the first record, as you kind of alluded to, was like it is just very, very complex, and it doesn't give itself much of a chance to get melodic. I think some of these songs gave themselves a chance to be melodic in between the really complex parts, which is what makes, I think, really, really great math rock tunes is being able to do that. Um, and it's also, I mean, it's generally seen as their most well received. I get this from the amount of online research that I'm able to do, and I totally understand why. So
Sure. Sure, sure, sure.
that brings
Alright.
us to Death Breath, and then they sang, and I was not ready for this at all.
I I thought
It,
what so I had made a playlist of the 3 albums, so
Mhm.
I because I was just listening while I was working. I thought I, like, went into a fugue state and missed an entire album and, like, autoplay started.
Right.
I was like, "What whoa, hold on, I shouldn't be hearing a voice," and then I go in,
Yeah.
I'm like, "Wait, okay."
Okay. Yeah. Hold on. They've changed things now. Um, it's a new direction for the group, so I definitely appreciate that they're still trying new things here by adding vocals into the songs and just saying like, "Hey, we had this whole other dimension that we could have been using, but we haven't." I also though like couldn't like the way it was mixed combined with addiction, I couldn't really understand anything that they said the whole time. So like I know there were lyrics there, but I don't know what they were. Um And I think just the very nature of singing with music is going to take a lot more of their math rockiness away from them, which is fine. So it does kind of step away from that direction. You can still hear good riff ideas. You still hear that there's like talented musicians. The two of them are both obviously very good at what they do. But I would probably say that was my third of three for them.
Yeah, I would probably agree with you. It did feel a little too watered down from the previous, both in terms of the music itself, as you mentioned, and it does have to do that. Like the necessity of it is if you're going to have like melodic singing throughout a song, you're gonna need to kind of simplify the
You
rhythms a
can't be
little
in
bit.
7/8 and then 3/4 and then six
Yeah.
eight and then 2/4 and then
I mean, I guess you theoretically could do that, like, but you must really hate whoever's singing.
yeah.
If you hate
It better
whoever's
not be
singing,
the person who's playing.
yeah, well, that's so true. Oh man, that would be something.
Mhm.
But I thought it was fine. I didn't really dislike it. The other thing that they watered down are the titles of the songs, which was
Yeah.
sad to me
Yeah,
because
totally.
now they're just all like normal, not normal. I mean, they're not
Yeah.
normal because one's called like Pulse Lick, one's called Your Disgusting Head, but they're not, you know, weird ass sentences or like
Right.
states of mind. They're just
Yeah,
like titles of songs.
they are.
So all in all, like it is a watered down product from the other two. I will say though, just for my ear, it was pleasant to at least hear words again,
Sure,
even if the words were nearly indecipherable.
sure.
It was just like, oh hey, you can sing,
Right.
like
That is
singing
the
can
thing.
happen again.
You're not gonna get a point 1 for poetic talent now.
It's true
Yeah,
because at least one
yeah.
album we gotta. Did you find out if any of the other albums had lyrics at all?
They I I'll get into it in a minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Sounds good. No worries.
So here are some things about this band. Um, look, Pat, I'm just gonna try to break you right away.
Okay.
So my 6 degrees is look, there's not a lot of information out here, let alone a lot of information to tie them to another artist whose music we've listened to
I
on the
was
show.
anxiously awaiting to see if you could do it.
So I had to go scrolling through the giraffes Instagram because I was like, maybe they posted about like a festival that also had another. I'm like trying, I can't think of anything else to do. And I find that they have posted a meme, and it is a
Oh,
meme of Iggy Pop, who we covered the Stooges on our show. And
yeah.
it's not just Iggy Pop, it's the old shirtless Iggy Pop, but they've taken his chest and stomach, his torso, and replaced his face with it because of the little face that it makes with his eyes, his nipples, and the fold of his stomach as a mouth.
No fucking way,
Look
dude.
at it. Look at it.
What? That might be one of the best 6 degrees I've ever
Yeah.
seen.
So that
Oh my
is the best
god.
that I could do
I
in
truly think
terms
that's an
of that.
improvement for Iggy Pop, though, because that means he doesn't have a mouth, he can't
That's
sing.
true. That doesn't always sound great. Okay, so
Oh, man.
that is my 6 degrees. That post was from July 26th, 2022, in case you're wondering at home.
That
Uh,
maybe he was the death breath.
yeah. Yeah, I think that he was. So speaking of names that are uncomfortable to say, the highlight is just gonna have to be, More Skin with Milk Mouth. It's, retained a rating of 4.02 out of 5 on Prog Archives. It's also their highest rated album on Rate Your Music, so it seems to be considered, like, one of the, math rock records that a bunch of, like, online music nerds would talk about a bunch.
I will say I
So,
did look up, like, on Reddit and things like that, like, top 10 math rock albums, and I did see Moreskin with Milk
More
Mouth
Skin
on
with
a
Milk
few
Mouth.
of the lists,
Yeah,
so
yeah, okay, that makes sense to me. So, their low light was when I had to try to research them and found nothing.
hey, honestly,
So, I've got
I get it.
nothing.
Honestly, that could be a low light 'cause like, you're
Yeah,
gonna find research on like, you can look up our band and find research on it, like, you'll find our website, at least,
sure,
and have
yeah,
there's some information about us.
and we'll probably find this, and then we said a ton of really dumb shit over the last 8
Honestly,
seasons of
pretty
the
true.
show. Mm, probably a lot of things that I would totally disagree with that I said, like, a few seasons back.
Hey, that's
Um,
growth. Because then we can start this
yeah,
podcast
exactly,
again from season 1 and have all new opinions.
exactly, 100%. I can't once we cover all the artists who have ever released music, then we'll
Yeah,
do that, and that'll be
that's
the
of
plan.
course.
Okay. So, the mean or nicest thing? Look, I found a nicest thing, I guess, also Reddit related because I found that they did an AMA 7 years ago. Um And they did, like, a really nice job where they answered every single question, like, they gave a time limit, and then they gave, like, really, like, long, thoughtful answers full of recommendations, and, like, they took requests from the fans. They would send, like, the date and the city they were gonna be in and ask for a song and stuff like that. So, they seemed like really cool guys, like, who genuinely were appreciative of their fans and liked
I
them.
love that I love that the nicest thing they did was very politely interact with the Reddit AMA.
Look, I'm grasping at
Nick,
straws,
I appreciate it.
and I keep trying to research them, like, something related to, like, charity work, and all that comes up are pictures of giraffes, and it doesn't work. As soon as you add in any other words, it's like, "Oh, here are charities that will raise money
For
for the
giraffe.
giraffes." So, like, what am I gonna do with
That's
that?
perfect, dude. That is perfect.
Yeah, like, it just won't let me find
Truly
information.
top tier.
So but the unique thing, I actually have 2. 1, they're the only artist we've covered who, if you try to search them on Wikipedia, you will only ever get the Wikipedia page for author Dave Eggers.
Okay. Uh,
I don't know why that's the case, although I will say on that same Reddit AMA, when one fan asked them for book recommendations, they did mention Eggers as being one of their favorite authors.
which is probably why, because they probably have it cited somewhere on his
Something is
page.
mentioned. Yeah,
That's fascinating.
okay.
You know what you've
Yes.
just done to me though, right? I'm gonna
You're
have to
gonna
sit and read all of Dave Eggers's, Wikipedia page until I find
I'm sure I've read sections of it before in my life. I really like his books. I've read like 8 or 9 of them. So, anyway, I have one other piece of unique information, which is about their drummer, Kenneth Topham. I don't know if I've ever heard anyone say this or seen anyone do this before. He plays with the floor tom to the left of his snare,
okay. Um,
which is if you don't really know what that means and you're listening to this, weird. That's strange that you, of all people, have found this and have stuck around this long, but also not the thing that any
That is
drummer does.
correct.
It's
It is
always on the floor on the other
it is
side
a
of the
very
stand.
strange way to play. But Nick, I have some scalding hot tea for you right now.
I'm so
I
ready.
went on Dave Eggers' Wikipedia page and I
Sure,
searched
sure.
for the word giraffe. And would you believe that in 2003, he wrote a book called Giraffes? Giraffes, which is now definitely where they got the name of the band from.
Oh my
So
god, it
that's why
absolutely
it
must be.
happens.
Is it like a
It's
children's
Simon and
book?
Schuster, so it might very well be.
Okay. I was gonna say, it's weird that I haven't heard of it when
It's
I've read, like,
so it's called the
almost everything else he's ever put
Haggis
out.
on Way World of Unbelievable Brilliance series. Eggers and his brother
Oh,
Christopher
okay.
authored this series using joint pseudonym Benny and Doris Haggis on Way. And the first book is Giraffes. So that's
Okay.
100% calling it. That's where they got
That's
the
it.
name of the band from. That's why they cited him as
You've
an
gotta be right.
inspiration to them or a source of
Okay.
book, reading.
Perfect. I love it. Well, that's it.
Hey, honestly, s
Look, that's
I'm
the best
really
I can
glad
do.
I remembered that you can just search on a website because I would have just read h all of his Wikipedia if I forgot that.
Yeah. I'm glad that you knew that because I wouldn't been
All
able
right,
to.
well, let's take us into grizzly bear.
Yeah. So how about that Iggy Pop?
What a meme, dude. Top tier meme. Oh, you know what we should talk about while I'm getting up, grizzly bear?
Go ahead.
Uh,
How shitty the Eagles,
free agency's been.
free
It's
agency has been?
some of them I expected. I knew we were gonna lose Milton Williams.
Yeah,
I knew we were gonna lose Josh Sweat. They were already gone.
but here's but that once we knew that Garrett was off the table, I was like, Maybe we should try to keep one of these
Sure, I don't
guys.'"
disagree with you that we should have tried to keep one of them. Uh,
Yeah, if there are no other moves that are gonna be on the table for, like, big name
it's also
linemen.
like, dude, how much faith do we have in Keely Ringo? A
A
lot,
lot,
right? Because we let
like
Slay go and
and
Rogers.
Rodgers.
Rogers was the big shock. I really thought we were gonna keep Isaiah Rogers.
Yeah,
I thought
yeah, he would've been way
yeah,
cheaper to keep.
I was very surprised. He must have just gotten the
Just,
deal
like,
he got offered
everyone.
from I forget where he went.
Was it
It
the
might have been
Colts or something?
the
Or no,
Vikings.
no, he was on for Vikings, yeah.
The Vikings just must have given him more money than we were gonna give him. Like, that's the only thing I could think of is
Yeah,
we had to have offered him something.
yeah.
And then CJ so, which I feel like there's more to that story, because I know you're not on social media at all, but he
Mhm.
was having, like, a kind of public Twitter beef with, Slay.
Was it okay.
So, because Slay, like, was doing, like, a little round of, like, on either on his podcast or he went on a podcast or something and was talking about who's gonna be the leader on the team if he's not back, and he said Reed Blankenship, he's the leader of he's the leader back there, they need, like, a veteran leader,
Okay.
and CJ Gardner-Johnson was just like, "Uh, bro?" What but he kinda was, like, a little out of pocket about it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, also, what's wrong like, I don't know the inner workings of the locker room. What's wrong with Reed taking Reed's a
Well,
good
yeah.
player, and he's been on the team for a long time.
And Slay, like, did come out because Slay wasn't having beef with CJ, it was kinda one-sided.
It didn't sound to
No.
me at all like he had anything negative to say. It sounded like he just thought, like, Reed seems like the guy who would.
Well, it comes back to, uh, like, Slay, like, clarified, and he's like, "Listen, the reason I said Reed is because Reed is the safety that's on the leadership council already for the Eagles. Like, I'm on the leadership council, or I was, and Reed
Mhm.
was, so I figured, like, he would just become the leader when I left, like,
Sure.
that's why I said it. It wasn't a knock on anyone."
Yeah. It didn't sound to me
Yeah,
like
so
one
I
at
don't
all.
know. I mean, it's also like we're now in like we got to get ready to pay Jalen Carter. I think that's really the reason because I think when Miles Garrett got that deal, he
Yeah.
reset the market. And now it's like, oh my God, what are we going to have to pay Jalen
And
Carter now? Like,
yeah.
so I think it very quickly was like, all right, we got to cut bait a little bit here. and trust,
Yeah.
you know, a Jomo and trust,
Process. Yeah.
the people that we're giving money to
Yeah.
and that
I I think that there's the players that we still have are good. They're definitely gonna have to now get, a defensive lineman who can and, like, by the
yeah,
3rd round. Like, for sure, they're gonna need depth at that
but
position.
I
Like, Smith developed really well, Hunt was clearly developing well by the end of the year. Ajomo can, definitely step in and make some
yeah,
plays. We've got, Carter and Davis, but,
we'll see.
like, I think you need somebody else coming off that edge.
I completely agree with you. I think it is gonna come down to the draft. Uh, I wanna
And they should also probably be thinking about taking a tight end relatively high too, if there's, like, a good tight end worth taking in the first 2 rounds, because Goddard ain't gonna be around for much
he
longer.
might
They
not
need
be
to start
around
developing
start of the season.
this year, yeah.
Like,
Right.
he might get moved,
Yeah.
which I don't love just because I really like him as a player, but I get
Yeah,
it.
right. Yeah, he's made of
Yeah.
glass. He's getting
Which
older.
is crazy because he's made of glass, and then also he made that guy on the Packers look like a child.
Oh, that
It
was
was I
so
mean,
good.
highlight play.
Uh,
It's
mhm.
gotta be top 5 highlight play of the year for me on offense.
That was
Like,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
probably the reverse hurdle.
Yeah,
I would put
obviously.
number 2 just for this situation, that absolute dagger to the heart of the Chiefs to Devontae Smith in
The
the Super
Devontae,
Bowl.
yeah,
I mean, just, like, right when the announcers are just
sure,
like, "Great spot to just run down the clock," or just go deep
sure.
and oh my god, like, they
Yep,
were in shock.
yep.
Tom Brady and it was
That was
Kevin
perfect.
Burkhardt, I think? Yeah, Tom Brady and
Yeah,
we're just in shock, and so was I. I'll be honest with you, so was I.
yeah, me too. I think you gotta put Saquon's opening touchdown run against
The
the
Commanders
Commanders up there
is up
too.
there as well,
Yeah,
for sure, and then probably I would put maybe 4th place, I would put the Goddard just
sure,
manhandling
yeah,
touchdown.
I agree.
And then, oh, number 5, easy. Sorry, we're just gonna say number 5 too, Nick,
Yeah,
because I got it in my head.
yeah, we
The
might as well,
second
and then we can
long running touchdown for Saquon when in the
against the
Rams,
Rams.
when he's just smacking his freaking helmet and,
Yeah.
like, just I I've never wanted to run through a brick wall more in my life than watching that on in slow-mo. Him just, like,
Yeah,
doing it and just, like, bam, realizing what this means, and I'm like, "This is
yeah,
perfect." All right,
it
cool.
was.
Now that we
So
got
we're
our
gonna
birds
get back
talk
to
out of the
Grizzly Bear.
way, grizzly bear. All right,
Okay. You just tell me when and I'll count down.
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1.
Grizzly Bear is an American rock band formed in Brooklyn, New York in 2002. And they were active until 2020, where they went on a hiatus. That
Mm,
is what they're calling it, a hiatus,
okay,
with kind of a who knows what'll happen
sure,
situation. So, not officially disbanded, but non active for the last 5 years.
sure.
We covered 3 albums. We started with 2004's Horn of Plenty. We followed that up with, okay,
Hmm.
2009's Vegetimist or Vegetimist.
I wasn't sure, I was just gonna
It's
go with whatever you said.
I'm gonna say Vegetimist actually seems better.
Okay,
And then 2017's Painted Ruins.
right.
And that's it. So I'll
Well,
take us into Horn of Plenty. All right. Something in this album uh, created an experience that I've never had before. And it's truly the first time in the history of not only the podcast, but of me listening to music. So I mentioned for giraffes that I typically listen while I work.
mhm,
Helps keep me engaged. I'm active listening. I like to listen to things while I do something, especially if I'm
yeah,
doing something
I
like with
agree.
my mind.
I do the
Helps
same
keep
thing.
me engaged. And then I listened to Horn of Plenty, and 4 songs in, I fully fell asleep at my desk. Like, and it's not even a joke. That's not like me like poking fun at this
No,
album. I legitimately fell asleep. I was literally working and then I'm like, I'm just gonna put my head down for a second. And then I was asleep for like 15 minutes. And then I was like, oh God, all right. What just happened? So I don't know what to tell you. This is a psychedelic folk slash lo-fi album. And the low in lo-fi should be in all caps because holy shit, is it fucking boring.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I okay. Positive stuff. The music is not bad. It's like it's I don't mean this to be funny. It's very soothing.
Yeah,
I
you're
was
right.
soothed.
Yeah, it's like the audio equivalent of petting a cat.
Yeah. A cat covered in Benadryl, maybe. I don't
Yeah,
know.
right. It's just like
Oh man, it was truly it's very, very low key. Now, this album was initially a solo project for Edward Drost, the lead singer, I say in quotes because they all kind of contribute vocals.
Mhm,
But it was his like solo project, and that he released, and there was some contributions from the Bear, Christopher Bear, who became the drummer for Grizzly Bear
mhm.
when the band formed. So that is like, that's kind of the introduction of it. So Ed Drost was just kind of like basically what is whatever
Yeah,
noodling, and they're like the lyrics are very ethereal, and like the vocals are very ethereal. The songs are very low key. It's truly, if you have trouble sleeping, listen to this album. I
yeah.
like this might legitimately be the only album out of the 6 that I listen to religiously, and it might just be on my sleep playlist. Like, if it can do that while I'm actively trying to stay awake, imagine what it does when I'm trying to fall asleep.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point, and I basically agree with you. Pretty much all my notes are like, it's really pleasant sounding, and spacey, very spacey sounding. They use reverb very effectively to fill out what is like a super minimalist instrumentation. Um, but like all of a sudden you're 10 songs in and you're like, "Oh, wait, hold on. Was music on?"
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I like at no point did this album ever get my attention while I was actively trying to pay attention to
Yeah.
it. Like that's
Honestly, super true.
yeah. Um, so what was definitely interesting for me because I had also read the thing about Ed Drost basically having this first record as a solo project. So I was definitely interested going into the second record to see how different that would be, with a full band contributing.
Yeah.
And I am pleased to say that it was different, and it was different a lot better different. Um, there is like instant at one song on this record has like more energy and attention grabbing capabilities than the whole first album combined. Um, and this one has like what is their hit? Like if you know anything about Grizzly Bear, even if you don't know what that you know a song, it would be
You might
2
recognize
weeks.
this song.
Yeah, 2 weeks would be the one. Oh, oh, whoa, that thing that happens with
Yeah,
the piano
you will
notes.
have heard it. I mean, it's been in things, it's been in the world enough that
Yeah.
you would have heard it.
Yeah, and just to contrast how this album is kind of labeled compared to the first one, as you mentioned, a psychedelic folk, this one has that baroque pop, and chamber pop moniker that usually is a positive thing when it comes to songwriting, for instance, getting some interesting instrumentations, and blends of style. And I think that out this album has that. Like it was just clearly better to listen to in every way. The songwriting was better, the performances were better, the songs themselves were better. It was more interesting.
Yeah, and listen, I agree with you, and, I actually think this is kind of a little loophole we're in right now, because I would almost say this is the first real album from Grizzly Bear,
Sure.
because the first album obviously was a solo project, 99% of the way with
Yeah.
somebody who happens to be in the band right afterwards contributed to one track. It
Yeah.
was track 6. The rest of it was all Ed Drost and like basically studio musicians. The
Yeah.
second album, Yellow House, which we're not gonna talk about
Mhm.
because it's not in our formula, but just a little bit of a mention, was all pre-existing songs that either Drost or the other main vocalist, Daniel Rawson, like,
Okay.
wrote separately and then brought in, like, songs they
Interesting.
already kinda had.
Yeah.
And then they, like, maybe they worked on them together as a band to kinda give the sound, but they
Sure.
were, like, prepackaged already.
Yeah.
This album is the first album that's kind of fully baked by Grizzly Bear as a band, for Grizzly Bear the
Okay.
band.
That's good to know.
So and I think it's a great sound. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed this one. This album is really in contention for my favorite album of the week.
Sure.
Veckatimist was
Yeah,
an
I would
interesting
probably
listen.
have it as my second.
Sure. But if you're including any of the math rock, then that's
Yeah.
why.
Yeah,
That's the difference.
I'm including more Skin for Milk Mouth as number 1.
Oh, gross. Just the name,
I
dude.
know.
Ugh. All right. I might never drink milk again. But yeah, really positive. I do like the like alternating vocals. I think everything about this album like was more engaging than the first album.
Totally.
The alternating of vocals provided a little bit of clarity. Both singers are good. I mean,
Mhm.
they're neither of them are going to win
Sure.
like best of awards for their singing, but it's there and it's pleasant to listen
Mhm.
to. That they're not trying to rewrite history here. They're not trying to remake the wheel. Musically, it's very like I don't know, emotive. I don't know if that
Mhm.
like it's like there's like these rhythms that they're using really kind of drive you in a direction emotionally, and then the lyrics kind of like also steer you. It's well crafted. It's well
I agree.
crafted. And I'll take us into Painted Ruins. And truly not much has changed here. You're still getting the kind of alternating lead vocal, although they're all contributing harmonically, which I really enjoy. There's a comp vocally that I have that I'll save for my notes.
I also have one,
Oh,
strangely.
interesting. Okay, who is yours? I won't say anything. I'm just curious.
Okay. For some reason, like, I guess I'm not sure which one it is, which singer, but one of them reminds me, and I don't know if you would know who this is, but Jordy Griep. He was in like
Okay.
another group, and came out with an album last summer that was like one of the big giant online music nerds top album of the year type thing.
Okay.
Um, and he like the whole album will actually cover it when we actually cover it is musically fantastic, but I can't listen to it again because the whole time the lead singer is like playing a character and putting on a weird voice. Um,
Okay.
and it sort of the one singer in this band sort of reminded me of that voice.
Interesting. Okay. So that's not where I went.
I
I
didn't
just
think
meant
so.
more of the style of vocal, but
That's fair.
I love that I got that knowledge now.
Yes, it's important. You should
All in
listen
all,
to
this
one or
is
two songs from that album just to like get a taste of what I'm talking about.
I will. I definitely will. I love what kind of sounds like the bare bones of a concept album.
Yeah.
So always a fan of that. Um, for this album though, in particular, I did think that it continued the trend. I don't think it was anything that I say was better than Veckatimist, which is why Veckatimist is my favorite of the week. But I did enjoy listening to it. I thought it kept that energy. I thought it kept the like kind of intriguing rhythms that I was looking for, but not to the point where it's like math rock where there's no room for vocals. There was plenty of room for vocals and harmonies, and they incorporate them throughout. So after literally putting me to sleep in the first album, albums 2 and 3, big thumbs up for me.
Yeah, sure. And I will say I did notice for me one difference between this album, or I guess you could also say area of growth. I feel like they were maybe incorporating more ideas from like electronic music and instruments
Mhm.
to supplement their songwriting style. So it was not necessarily in every song, but there were a bunch of songs, like at least maybe half of them, where I felt like that was kind of a new element that they were playing with. So I'm not saying that in like a judgmental way. either
Yeah.
way, but, I think it was different. It was growth. So I also wouldn't put it over Veckatimist. I think this album maybe felt like a touch more, like, pleasant, but not as original at
Mhm.
times, but not always. I think they had songs like Neighbors was the one that I particularly highlighted that shows they're still doing a lot of interesting things that are
Yeah.
still creative, like, they have cool ideas for songs and instrumentation. So, I would say, like, it's their 2nd best album, but because I thought Vecatimus was very good.
Sure. And one last thing before I go into my little facts about them. I did find it interesting that this is the first album that we covered where, Ed Drost only contributed vocals.
Oh, okay.
So
Interesting.
he like, in the other obviously, in the first album, because it was basically a solo project, he
Mhm,
contributed vocals, acoustic and electric guitar, and bass, and keyboards, and piano, and
mhm.
some percussion.
There you go.
So, like, he's all over the place with it. In the second album, Veckatimist, he contributed vocals, guitar, keyboards, and the omnichord.
Nice. I love
But
it.
then in Painted Ruins, only vocals. So I just thought that
Okay.
was a an interesting little tidbit.
That is. I'm interested.
So I'll give us some facts about Grizzly Bear.
Yeah.
So the unique thing about them, which we've kind of already talked about, was that the first album was started as a solo project, but, like, almost immediately, like, a band formed, which I thought was a really interesting way for the band to form.
Sure.
So it was just a lo-fi project that Ed Drost was releasing. Uh, like I mentioned, Bear, the drummer, contributed on it, and then, like, they just brought on Taylor and Dan Rawson for their live performances, and then, like, as they performed the first album as a band, the band just, like, kind of fell in love with the band itself as and each other
Okay.
as the band.
Sure.
So I thought that was a really interesting way for the band to start, and I also
Definitely.
think it was interesting because we've had, like, a solo artist who has a band,
Sure.
and it's like, you know who's the head honcho there.
Yeah.
Like, it's the solo artist's world, and the band is living in it.
Yeah.
But this one, like, really became a four-piece of, like, fully contributing members,
Mhm.
which I thought was
Yeah.
an interesting story.
Definitely.
So the highlight, it's just the year 2008 to early 2009. They really kind of popped off in the summer of '08. They opened for Radiohead in their
Oh, wow,
North
okay.
American tour.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So that's pretty cool. And in fact, in Toronto, which was their last tour date, which was Grizzly Bear's last tour date with Radiohead, Johnny Greenwood like publicly went up on stage and was talking about how much he loved Grizzly Bear as a band, and he was like, "These are right, they're my favorite band right now,"
Oh,
and stuff
wow.
like that, which is like pretty high praise
Yeah,
to
I
be
would agree.
getting, especially like as the opening act of that band. Like,
Yeah,
way to get the
that's very
love.
cool. I agree.
And then they immediately after that, they convened in a house in Cape Cod and then made Vecatimus, their third full-length
Oh, wow,
album.
okay.
So just kind of a really good stretch of time for them.
Yeah,
Like opening for Radiohead, getting that kind of high praise, and then just like huddling up together and writing an album.
yeah,
Thought was pretty
definitely.
cool. The low light for the band, I guess, is gonna have to be 2020. Just like they went on hiatus.
Sure.
It's not necessarily like a contentious hiatus. So Ed Drost basically leaves the band. He departed from the band and just went to school to become a therapist.
Okay,
Like that's what happened, and he is now a licensed therapist.
good for him.
Yeah, so he went on a podcast in 2020 and said, or I'm sorry, he went on a podcast in 2023
Okay.
where he said like, it just I realized I didn't like the lifestyle in the band. It wasn't sustainable. I wasn't feeling healthy anymore, so I just decided to try something new. It was just difficult at the end for me, and a bit of it was losing its luster, I suppose. But never say never. There's no official breakup or anything. I'm just doing this for now, and who knows what will happen in the future.
Okay.
So a low light in the fact that it was the end of the band, and
Yeah,
like Ed Drost
for now.
left the band and all that stuff, but it's not like fighting or contention or anything
Yeah.
crazy. I have nothing for meanest, could not find a single thing, but for nicest, I do have some things. So
Did
in
they also do
2009,
a Reddit AMA?
I did not get any Reddit AMA information. I wish I knew that we were looking there.
Uh,
But in 2009, they contributed a couple songs, Deep Blue Sea and Service Bell, to the AIDS benefit album Dark Was the Night, which, that's pretty
nice,
awesome. And
yeah.
that same year, they also released a charity t shirt via the Yellow Bird Project to raise money for the Brighter Planet Foundation.
Nice, I like it.
So basically, all of the recorded philanthropy for this band was the year 2009, which adds right into their
Great year.
highlight year. I mean, hey, it all works out.
It does.
And then 6 Degrees, Dan Rawson and Chris Bear, post when the band broke up,
Mhm.
they worked very closely together. And on a specific track, Cradling Mother, Cradling Woman, they collaborated with Fleet Foxes for their album
Oh,
Shore.
okay.
So we listened to,
Yeah.
not only did we listen to
Mhm.
Fleet Foxes, we listened to Shore,
We did?
which came out actually right after we covered them. So we listened to
Yeah, we
it
listened to it for the best of the
for the
rest.
best of the rest. And we have already listened to Grizzly Bear at that point, or at least 2 of the 4
Yeah,
members
how
of
about
Grizzly
that?
Bear. So that's what I got.
Alright, I love it. I guess we should grade them.
I guess it's time.
So my first question is there a number higher than 10?
There is, if need be.
Okay, well, then I think that both of these artists should get that number, whatever it happens to be.
Unfortunately, it does reset. So it's like
Okay.
Pac-Man. When you exit one level, you just back in the beginning. So the
Yeah.
number higher than 10 is like a point 1.
Yeah, okay, so I'm gonna give that to Giraffes, I guess.
Giraffes is definitely a point 1.
Yeah.
I
Grizzly
I'm
Bears,
gonna
probably not.
I'm gonna stretch it here.
Okay.
I'm willing to give them a point 5.
Yeah. I
Uh,
I
I
think they have, like, they're one-hit wonder adjacent. They have a very popular song, whether or not it's known as a one-hit wonder or known to be by them.
it's definitely not because the reason it's popular, the 2 things that I know it from
Mhm.
is an episode of How I Met Your Mother
Okay.
and a Super Bowl commercial.
Okay.
So both things that had wide reach,
Sure.
but nothing that would have, like,
But no
made the
identifying
band
information,
popular.
yeah.
So I think that, like, that's why I'm giving them a point 5 because there's
Sure.
gonna be a lot of people that would hear that and be like, that
Recognize
thing,
it.
especially that riff that you
Yeah.
said, that vocal riff, and definitely recognize it. So point 5.
Yeah, that's fine. So for breadth of work, Giraffes either has 7 or 8 studio albums. Hard to tell for sure. Um, and so they start with 5.2. Sales may be somewhat of an issue.
You think?
Here's what I can tell you.
Okay. I'm
Also,
fascinated.
according to the Giraffes social media, their 2023 Spotify numbers included 1.1 million total streams, 295,000 listeners, 89.5 thousand hours of listening from people in 156 countries. So those streaming numbers for the year 2023 is in fact the closest thing I can find to something that resembles sales.
Okay, I understand what you're saying.
I'm merely giving context before we
Mhm.
like dock them the whole point 0.5.
Yeah. Okay. So are we docking them the whole point 5?
That's fine. I mean,
I
look,
mean,
I don't
I don't
think
know what
there's
else to
yeah.
say.
It's
So what, a
it's the
4.7 we're
formula.
starting with?
Yeah, it's not us. I'm gonna give them a point 0.2. I really I think the first album gives them like half a point 0.5, point 0.6, and their second album gives them at least point 0.1, point 0.5, 0.15 from me. So
Sure. I'm also gonna give them a point 2. I enjoyed them enough
wow, okay,
to
I
give
like
them
it.
a little bit, which truly, I mean, just
Surprising.
an unprecedented acceptance of math rock in my life.
Yeah, I did not see that coming at all. I was a little nervous that we were gonna have like a strong disagreement on
Hey,
them.
well,
Okay,
luckily we didn't.
we didn't. Grizzly Bear, they have 5 albums. They started at a 4.3, and they have 1 album that was a British silver, so that's like
So
30,000 in sales or something?
it had 60,000 in sales.
60, oh, good.
And the single 2 weeks also went British silver, and that's 200,000 sales.
Okay. So
So
we've
we
got
have
these guys at like a quarter of a
260,000
million plus.
confirmed sales
So
just
they're
in
not
Britain.
losing the whole point 0.5.
Correct.
So they're losing either a point 0.3 or a point 0.4 though,
I
because
think it's a point 3.
2,000,000 is our threshold there. So
Yeah,
point 0.3 is fine.
I think it's a point 3 just because, like, multiple certifications and, like, I didn't pull up their streaming numbers, but I think it's a
Sure,
point 3.
yeah, I think that's fine. Um, and now how many points would you like to give or take from them for their
I'm
quality?
also gonna give them a point 2. I probably enjoyed their stuff a little more, their last 2 albums, but I would probably give them a point 3, but I'm taking away that extra point 1 for putting me to literal sleep on the first album.
That's fair. I'm gonna give them point 2 as well. Again, I probably like Drafts a little bit better, but, like, they're closing in on the 2 anyway. Drafts was a high 2 leaning 3, theirs was a high 1 leaning 2.
I love it.
Instrumental talent, I think there's a clear edge here for Drafts. I mean, it's like that is clearly the strength of this band is that, like, they're 2 of them and they both play their instruments very well.
Now, I do not disagree with you. I just don't want to take away from Grizzly Bear because not only are Grizzly Bear doing something that Giraffes is not, which is vocals on all 3 albums, but on 2 of the 3 albums, the vocal harmonics are
Oh, yeah.
impressive.
I
That
wasn't I wasn't saying that as a knock to Grizzly Bear, who I
Mhm.
don't think is below average. I was saying that Drafts is, like, clearly above it.
Sure, I
Yeah.
think they're clearly above average, but I think, like, truly the 4 vocalists aspect of it
Mhm.
is way more rare than we're talking about. It's not something that a lot of people do, and it's
Sure.
not something that a lot of people do well either.
Yeah,
So, just giving that credit because that like I said, that adds an
definitely.
element that Giraffes doesn't have for
True.
comparison.
And I
Because
think
even when they contribute some vocals on the
yeah,
3rd album, they're sparse.
yeah. I think just the opposite is true. Like, there was nothing instrumentally that happened on a Grizzly Bear album that, like, really caught my ear. It was
Correct.
like, "Wow, great playing." Nothing was bad about it. It was all very good. But, like, every song had those moments of on guitar or drums for
Yeah.
Drafts. So, like, I would probably start Drafts as a number at least in the 6s. And I think Grizzly Bear is going to be above average, but they're definitely lower.
Yeah, listen, I think in the 6s works. I really do think that as interesting as all this stuff is, like, just no vocals and then finally bringing in vocals and having them just be the most, like, quiet, sparse
Yeah.
thing, it's like, alright. I mean, at that point, just don't bring them in.
Look, I
It
I
was
would agree with you
refreshing,
there. I didn't
but
necessarily want them,
so
but
that's all.
I
But all of the positives are there, like,
yeah.
I
They
completely
nothing negative went on an album other like, the vocals were kinda, like, meh, but everything else was, like, a major positive. I'm, like,
yeah.
in the 6.5 range.
I think a 6.5 fits. I think it's a good spot.
Okay.
And I'm probably at, like, a 5.5 for
And I think that's
Grizzly
totally
Bear
fine. I
because
think
it's
the
above
half
average
point
and,
for the vocal talent is right
yeah,
on.
highlight the vocal talent. The rest of it is efficiently done, we'll say.
Yeah. So for songwriting and poetic talent, we'll just keep in mind that Grizzly Bear is going to start with a 4.3 for each of those
Yeah.
because of the 5 albums. I think it's a positive for both groups again for songwriting talent. I think both groups had albums that I could hear the difference between all 3, whether there was one that clearly stuck out as the weakest to both of us. First one for Grizzly Bear and the last one for Drafts.
Yeah.
As but each one was, I think, identifiably different in its own album. Um, and then for everything that Drafts does, that's like about actual like complexity of score. I think Grizzly Bear's second 2 albums does with like instrumentation and um, songwriting,
Yeah.
like the harmonies that are involved with it as well,
Yep.
the changing in instruments from tune to tune. So I think this could be like a I would probably be like giving these artists similar scores above the average for different reasons. Um,
I agree with you on that. I do think that one thing that maybe we talk about here is just I think the chart, like if we're looking at a line chart of the overall of these albums,
mhm.
I think we're doing kinda one of these a little bit, maybe not quite so steep, but, like, a little bit for Giraffes. I think the
Well,
first album maybe a little bit up and
second
then
album
down.
was out.
The
Yeah.
second yeah, but, like, maybe a small mountain, and I think we're definitively climbing and then maybe, like, just kinda plateauing
Mhm.
with, Grizzly
Yeah,
Bear.
definitely they didn't get better on the
They didn't
second.
get better as they went because the second album that we listened
Yeah.
to was, I think, on the same level as Veckatimist, but just something to keep in mind, like, their consistency a little bit.
Yeah.
I
Um,
I do agree with you
but
with similar scores,
it's
just trying to add a little
yeah,
context.
it's definitely points above the average for each. So for
Mhm.
drafts, I'm in the 5 somewhere. I would be okay going for like a 5.6 or a 5.7 because I think they definitely do something very unique. They should be getting near a point above the average for it.
Yeah, I'm down to give 'em a 5.7.
And then Grizzly Bear starting from their 4.3. Again, I think that makes the number more like a 5, like they earn their way back up to
Sure.
that middle
I
spot.
think a 5 works. I think, you're achieving an average with below average output,
Yeah.
which I think is impressive.
Poetic talent. So Drafts does not get a point one because they had lyrics on their last album. And oh, I
Yes.
meant to tell you because you asked the 7 years ago Reddit AMA, they were talking about having lyrics on their songs. So any album released from 2018 on would have um, lyrics
Okay.
to it.
Alright, hold on now. Hold on listen, we're gonna do some research here, just real quick.
Yeah, of course. How many of their albums came out?
Yep. Just doing a quick little search here.
Yeah, it's like even half of the like dedicated discography websites online don't even like
What
have
I'm sorry,
all of their albums on them.
what year was the AMA?
2018.
It was in 2018, and they talked about
Yeah,
having lyrics on an album in 2018?
correct.
So we're gonna say that so there's one album that came out in 2018 and then Death Breath.
Okay, so
So
2 of their albums
theoretically,
have.
2 albums have lyrics.
Okay, that's all we needed to know. So Rite of Summer was the other one that came out in 2020. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so a
It's a
third of
one
their albums.
song EP that's just like 15 minutes long.
Wait, what is?
Rite of Summer. Is that the one that you were talking about?
No, I'm talking about Memory Lame.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay, that's a full-length album.
Yeah, Memory Lame.
I d I do enjoy it. There's, the teenagers in the woods burning things lying around and putzing around the underworld, AKA The Loser's Journey, are both
Yep.
on that record. So, love to
At the
see it.
turf field behind my parents'
Yeah.
house.
Love to see it. Gonna give them less than 1, but
I
it's
mean,
just a
it's
matter
definitely
of,
less
like,
than 1.
point how many.
I mean, 2 albums out of 6.
Yeah.
The album we listened to, if we like, say they released all albums with lyrics that are that quality,
Mhm.
I'm probably giving them, like, a 3.
Okay.
So, I mean, like, a point 4?
Sure.
I don't think you can go much higher than that because, like,
I
if the
imagine.
lyrics they had come out with were, like, incredible on that album, I'd be
Sure.
giving them, like, a 1
Yeah.
max. So,
Alright. So Grizzly Bear starts at a 4.3. How do you feel in terms of where we
I
need to go with
thought
that?
I thought they were like I had mentioned, mixing with the rhythms and mixing with things like that. They did a really good job of pointing you towards an emotion in
Mhm.
the lyrics. So, I don't think they were, like poets, like they're not gonna go win Pulitzers for their songs, I don't think. But I would say they're probably slightly above average in the fact that they do a really good job of commingling with the rhythms and the instrumentation
Okay.
and the kind of word painting of the harmonies. So I
Sure.
think all of that combines for an above average, like, poetic talent.
So they're starting at a 4.3 because of the 5 albums. So how much above that would you want to go? Like a point
If a
two, point three?
4.3 equals a 5, I would be probably giving them, like, a 5.3 or 4. So I guess
Okay.
then that would be like a 4.7?
Yeah. And that wraps it up. Wait, X Factor.
Yeah, let's not no, let's not.
Okay, but what if I told you they seem like really nice guys and they did a Reddit AMA? Would that be
The
worth 5 points?
Listen, the only potential thing, and I'm not even saying it needs to happen.
Yeah.
The only potential thing would be the grizzly bear the grizzly bear having the Super Bowl sound, like, commercial
Okay.
song.
I
That's
didn't
it.
even know that that's what it was
Right.
from
I don't
that
think
I've
it's worth
heard
a
it
point.
from.
I said if I was trying to make a point, that would be the only thing I would say.
Fair enough. And I will say we do have a winner, and it was close. It was within
Sure.
2.5 points this week.
Interesting. I'm curious because I think I know who the winner is based on one category,
Yep.
but overcoming, w I think we can both just say I think the winner is Grizzly Bear.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
correct.
and it really boils down to
Lyrics.
it lyrics. It's an
It
interesting thing though because
Yeah.
they did lose a number of points for having less than 6 albums, which
Yep.
is what we consider our
Mhm.
average of album released in all of music.
Right.
Which I think sometimes we're even a little generous about that, having 6 because you have some artists that have, like, 90 albums. You have,
Yeah.
like, Buckethead
Yeah, you
himself would
have to
raise the
yeah,
average of albums
500.
released by artists significantly.
Yeah, I think you just have to exclude the outliers
That's
to
true.
get reliable data. Um,
But yeah, so that's where I'm at.
yep,
Uh,
so they scored a 20.1, uh,
Respectable.
and Giraffes had a 17.8, which for a band that very few people have ever heard of and also didn't include lyrics for the vast majority of their music, I think is very good.
The amount of positive things that you know what it is, Nick? You know what I figured out?
Go ahead.
I can only like bands with instrumental music if they're named directly after an animal.
Okay.
Because
Like
other than, like, classical music, like, which I don't count, like, classical music is a different thing.
okay.
So, like, lyrics aren't needed there for me.
Mhm.
And I know that that's how some people feel about, like, prog, and some people feel
Yeah,
about, like, the math rock scene.
sure.
I just don't. I feel that way about classical music. I can listen to classical music like a symphony without lyrics and kinda get
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
Um, but Camel is the other one.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Camel is the
Camel's
other
awesome.
instrumental prog band that
Yeah.
I
I mean,
enjoy
they
listening
have
to all their music.
lyrics, but they have long instrumental sections and a
Yeah.
lot of and instrumental tunes on, like, every album.
Well, specifically the instrumental, like,
The Snow Goose.
the Snow Goose is
Yeah.
the one that I'm thinking
So
of, and
good.
it's like
So
for
good.
sure. So, apparently, if you are a, like, instrumental music band and you're listening to us and you want to have me like you, just change your band name so you're named after an animal, apparently.
And if you want me to like you, you don't really have to do anything new.
Just
You're
exist.
just
Yeah,
good.
Nick like
Just stick with it. Keep it up.
just just actually, if you want Nick to like you, just play your instruments.
Yeah.
Do not put them through a computer.
Well,
No, no, Nick. I don't try to tell me your opinion because I've heard your opinion for 8 seasons. If there's too much electronic stuff, Nick rebels.
you say that, but also which of the 2 of us liked Kraftwerk?
Which is Nick, it's crazy to me.
I
You don't
still listen
understand.
to Kraftwerk.
Yeah, I understand. I just heard, somebody just referenced, a Kraftwerk album, in, like, a show I was watching, and I
Okay.
was just like, "Ah, hey." I can't
I
remember
know
the
that.
show,
I
I
get
can't
it.
remember the reference. My brain is fried,
Sure.
but I remember that it happened.
That's good. That's all that matters. Oh, next week, right, there's gonna be another episode or next 2 weeks or whatever.
Something.
It'll be, like, we're gonna really stray to the edges of what country music can sound like. So that's
I'm
gonna be
looking
great
forward.
for us.
Yeah. I'm sure it's gonna be nothing but a great time
We're
had by
gonna have so
everyone.
much fun.
So much fun. All right. Well, that's it for us, guys. Listen, uh, hopefully you take our not legal or medical advice for your new sleep aid.
That's right.
Why try Ambien when you can try freaking grizzly bear, horn of plenty? Just take 2 tracks and go right to sleep.
Uh, uh, Hold on, what are the side effects? I've never heard a commercial
The
for some
side
sort of
effects
medicine that doesn't kill you in 17 different ways.
listen, the side effects may include, just like a melancholy attitude the next day because you fell asleep in the most gentle way possible. So, you're just that's it. That's all I got for you.
Okay,
Maybe you fall asleep to Horn of Plenty and you wake up to Vegetimist and
okay.
see how that affects your mood.
That would be interesting.
All right, and you know what?
Alright,
While you're doing all that, have a great day,
and fuck Jerry Lee Lewis,
and fuck Jerry Lee Lewis.
and let Little Richard watch.
God damn it. Uh, but, like, do that. He'll really appreciate that if you do that.
He would very much appreciate it.
He'd really like it. He'd be a
Look,
big fan.
mean a lot to him.
Oh god.
Great times.
Truly, truly great times.
Yeah. You know what I realized we never did this year,
What?
even though it's March? We never looked back at my 2024 listing and tried to guess
Oh my
which
gosh, we
artists
didn't.
I listened to the most albums by in the year of our Lord 2024.
The fact that it's already March is crazy
How did
enough,
it
though. I don't know, man. I don't know.
happen?
It's like, in 3 months, we're gonna be 33.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
that's a lot of threes that you're throwing at me.
I know. That's it's important.
You're right.
Ugh. Alright. I would love to do the album thing now, but if I don't eat soon, I'm gonna
Yeah,
die.
that's fine. That's good. You're feeling hunger again?
No, I
Okay.
just I haven't
Feeling
eaten.
fatigue.
Yeah, I'm feeling like the dizzies,
Yeah, okay.
mainly because I respected the lima bean before
Yeah, which
the
is
pod.
important.
So,
Yeah. Who
but they
didn't though?
deserve our respect.
I They do. I'm gonna go respect some right now while making my dinner.
Heck yeah. Cool. Well, I will see
Okay.
you Saturday,
Yes, very good.
which is very soon from now.
It is. You're right. So
So,
be ready.
try not to get, what did you have? I forget what you had. Why we didn't have the last gig at Naked.
RSV.
RSV. Yeah, I was like something. I was gonna call it rhinovirus. I was like, that's not what it is because rhinovirus is just a cold.
Yeah, you're right.
Cool.
Okay.
I'll
Bye.
see you Saturday. Bye. Oh man. Well, this was fun, y'all. I'll catch you all. I'll catch you all later. And have a great day and all that fun stuff. Be yourself, be, happy and bye.